Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Roundup. Here to go through all of the last week's action from the A&DBBL Season 9. Nearly forgot what season we were on then, even though it's right in front of me, written in big letters on my screen. Luckily, to stop me from forgetting anything, I am joined, as always, by Mr. Brian, Mr. Scott Bryan, and Mr. Hovell, Mr. Tom Hovell, here to go through all of the action with me. And we are going to dive straight in because we've got about 12 games to go through this week. So let's get started straight away. And we're going to start with Lizard Men versus Ogres, Skeksis Carrying Pieces, I'm going to get that wrong all season, versus Wreckham AFC. A good 2-0 result here for the Lizards. Will be very, very pleased to have got their season up and running here after two very difficult early games here. Scott bringing his staff-heavy Ogres with him this season. Two Ogres in that team, a lot of Noblars, and bringing in the assistant coaches and all the staff, the cheerleaders, everything that you possibly could. But the Lizards finally getting a result here. Two difficult games. Tom, we'll come to you first. It's been a tough start for Ash and his Lizards. Lost to but two former champions in his first two games. He'll be pretty pleased to have got off the mark now.
Yeah, it didn't really start off very well, though. As you just mentioned there, turn two was a dead skink straight off the bat.
And his captain, I believe.
Yes, it was. Was this the first captain? I think it might have been.
I think this was the first dead captain. Yeah.
And as we well know that Scott Norman was coming out swinging with a heck of a lot of fouls on this game. By the looks of things, I think he's going for the foul championship here. But there seems to have been a lot things suddenly sway the other way after turn 5, where things started to go along and casualty started to kick in on the Lizard side. Casualty in turn 5, casualty in turn 6, and down in turn 8, which seems to have settled things down a little bit. Unfortunately, straight off the bat in the next second half, a skink gets injured. So clearly, Ash has got an issue where the start of each turn has problems.
Yeah, a tough on the injuries for Ash's Lizard team here. He's got a Saurus that's now strength 3, a Chameleon that's edge 4. That's two players that you're probably looking to sack pretty quickly, especially as they've got no SPP in that Lizard team. That's very, very difficult one, really, to recover from. Scott, what do you think of Mr. Norman's gimmick this season? He brings a kind of different stunty gimmick each year. Last year was the Zero TV. This year, it is very much on the staff. He's got 6 fans, 6 coaches, 10 cheerleaders, APOC, hiring those infamous coaches as well. How do you think he's going to get on? Because it's probably his most difficult challenge based on what kind of extras he can bring.
Yeah, good evening, Christopher. Good evening, Tom. Good evening, chat. Good evening, Luke, Andy, Carl. Can see we've got all those usual suspects in there. Of course, it goes without saying good evening to the man, myth, legend, Mr. John Reeder, the current reigning champion. For Mr. Scott Norman, whether you see this as a gimmick or a theme, I think it just brings another layer of entertainment. I think it is going to be probably more of a struggle, Chris, as you alluded to, versus previous builds as well. I mean, as much as everyone loves a Noblar, Strength 1 can only get you so far, so can Sidestep, Stunty Titchy. So whether it's a gimmick, whether it's a theme, I still think it brings a lot to the community, and I fully applaud him for that as well. So that would be the one. I also think from Ash's perspective, Ash must have been looking at this, and as Tom rightly called out, at turn 2, Ash must have been thinking, why have I joined the A&DBBL? Why didn't I stick with Ibble? But Ash, obviously, it gives me the opportunity to use that sporting word and cliche, bounce back ability. So there you go. This is what it's all about for Ash and for his Lizards as well. And really, really, I think he's come back from that. Yes, he's got a few injuries to sort out, but 2-0 win, would you take it at the start after your first 2 opening defeats? And then coming up against Mr. Norman, who can be probably the most eccentric and wonderful coach that we have in the league, although I'm sure there were others who would lay claim to that title. So I think a very good win for Ash. It gives him a couple of key pieces now, which he can start maybe to build his, his development path around and his team. So yeah, good win, and obviously a difficult start for Mr. Norman. But this is Scott Norman. No one can keep a good man down for long.
I genuinely thought, Scott, you were going to say, "Welcome to the big league, Clash," when you said about to A&D.
I wasn't, Tom, but now you've said it. You could claim title and incur the wrath and the ire of all the Ibble gang.
We love the Ibble gang. We love them.
We do, Chris. Tom thinks they're shit. That's I'm just saying that. I'm just interpreting his words.
A very good game for Ash. Scott's in the chat saying, I felt bad, did some damage to some key pieces, but Ash played well, capitalized on all my mistakes and scored when asked. It's going to be a long season. It's a difficult group for both of these coaches. Ash will be happy to get some points on the board, and we will see whether Scott can get some points later on as we come to his next game. But we will move on to the next game that we're going to review, which is the return of the Tipsy Tankards and an emphatic 4-0 victory for Robert with 3 casualties to go along with it. I, for one, at the thought of the Tipsy Tankards coming back to the A&DBBL, had heart palpitations, and this is why. 4-0 for Robert, 23 SPP, 3 casualties, absolutely hitting the ground running as he needs to. Scott, we'll come to you first. Robert is, we know he's an exceptional coach. He's played this team before. This is their 3rd season. This is the perfect start, exactly what he would have wanted.
Oh, you can't get better than this, can you, really? Well, you can get 5-0, but ho-hum, let's not be greedy. 23 SP at the end of the day is a phenomenal start again. It gives him lots to build on as well. He's using his Valkyries. I don't know if Total Test Junior has got a bounty yet. Possibly thoroughly deserves it after this one as well. Very good. JD's Doombringers, we know they have a lot of skills. We know they have a lot of skills that really challenge your thinking as a coach in terms of how they're going to play, how they're going to approach the match. So yeah, really hard day on the pitch for JD for this one as well. And as you say, Chris, a phenomenal start for Robert. Couldn't have asked better. And possibly makes all the other coaches in this league, gives them something to think about.
Tom, a difficult day for JD, but it got off to an all right start, badly hurting an Ulfwerner, but then started to lose a few key players, a few missed next games for his next game here, but some good SPP. I mean, JD will have known how good Robert is, maybe knew this was going to be a difficult fixture.
Absolutely. And it's a really interesting one because basically you've got Tipsy Tankers with a few good men, so to speak, where they've got a lot of skills, just completely skilled out, against a team that has got quite a lot of depth on a lot of new skills. So it's interesting to see that if you play it right on the day, those few men can do, or a few people can do really, really well here. It's a really, really strong kind of game here from the Tipsy Tankards.
A very strong. Looking at Robert's team, he's got some incredible redrafted players here. Lots of additional mighty blow guards in there, some tackle. It's a tough team to come up against. A random strength of guard on a lineman, so he's in a really good position now with lots of sitting SPP ready for his next game. JD is as well, though. To be fair, he has done a lot of random skilling on this team, but there's not many random skills that he's got, which I think you would kind of not necessarily want. The Assassin's now got sure feet, tackle, and frenzy. That's a tough piece. Sure feet on the runner. He's got pass on another runner. Dauntless and pro on a lineman. Diving, tackle, and block on a lineman. Sure feet on another. Like, these aren't bad skills. And that doesn't even mention the Witch Elf, who's got block, tackle, kick, diving, tackle, as well as the dodge, frenzy, jump up that it already comes with. So a difficult game for JD, but he's definitely got kind of what he needs within the team there to maybe have a bit of an impact going forward. Good luck to both of them. Good luck to everyone in that group who's got to play Robert, to be fair. I'm pretty glad it's not me. I'm hoping that playoffs don't happen in such a way where I have to face him there. So, but a very hard fought game all around. JD had another game after that one up against Imperial Nobility, in for a penny, in for a pound. And sadly, it didn't go to plan again. A 1-0 victory for the Imperial Nobility team here. More casualties coming for the Dark Elves, 3-2 on the casualties, so a little bit more SPP, but taking his fair share of injured players as well. Tom, a really good start from James here in the league. He's not had many games. He's one of our newer coaches and newer to the game. So to get the 1-0 win here is really positive for his season.
Absolutely, especially against Dark Elves, which we kind of started gathering that are the big team of this season, considering there's 5 in our league. And it seemed to be a bit of a tit for tat on everything going on in casualty ratings. You know, turn 1 niggling injury, turn 2 1 strength on guard, backwards and forwards. And a little question actually to Scott. Would you take an assassin in your team?
No, to be honest. I if I had the luxury and I really felt they would give me something extra, yes. I feel they might be that. Sorry, Chris, you're trying to ping me. I can't see all the messages at the moment. But at the moment, they're not for me. I think if you play a certain style, they can be used and they are a lot of fun. They give other coaches something to think about. I think, though, shout out to James, not just for his Imperial Nobility, who we know you have to play Nobility with a lot of board control as well. With regards to JD, you're playing as well against, as Chris alluded to there, the team with a lot of skills who give you lots to think about as well. Plus, as well, his models look particularly good in white. They look very good on the pitch top as well. I think he's got a good base to go from now. So, yeah, I think it was a very, very good. Kudos as well for JD for playing 2 games back to back. Obviously, he fits around work as well. But just a thing to talk about James, and I know we're going to come on to cover his second match shortly. However, just a shout out to James and all of the rookie coaches this year. Myself and Tom were talking about this Friday evening. The standard of rookie coaches this year is very good. It really is. There are some very good coaches out there who are new to A&DBBL and they know their way around a Blood Bowl pitch exceptionally well. So existing coaches or coaches with several seasons experience, you have been warned. Evening, Daz and Mac, by the way. Good evening, Leanne, and anyone else we've missed in chat so far.
Yes, if you've missed it in chat, Tom, John Reeder has challenged you to join the Ipswich Blood Bowl League next season to justify your words, your sass. So we'll see. Look to see you then. A great game here for James. JD, you know, I know that JD has some victories in him there. JD is a very good coach. Sometimes gets a bit unfortunate, but you know, take nothing away from a rookie coach getting a win in their first year. Sometimes that can be tough. So it's a really, really good result. So well done to the both of them for a hard fought game. In that fixture, we will move on to the Argatha Muirs versus the Disco Danger Rats, and a 1-1 draw here. This game, if you want to go back and watch it again, it is over on the YouTube channel at BloodbowlLive. You can go and rewatch this one. And a really, really good result for Jack here. Jack has played this Norse a lot. It's the only team that he plays. James is absolutely knows what he's doing when it comes to Skaven, not someone to underestimate. So I think this is a really good result for Jack, because I thought that James may go on a bit of a sort of a runaway in this group, and it's interesting to see sort of some people meeting that challenge. There were chances to try and get touchdowns at the very end. I think both teams could have possibly gone for a winner, just about, but it ended 1-1. And Tom, I think probably Jack may see this as a point gained. Whether James will see this as 2 points lost, I don't know. But either way, a hard-fought game from both coaches.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, James, knows Skaven. He loves Skaven. He plays them both in league previously in the previous seasons and also in tournaments. I think Jack has always been Norse and never been anything else. So there seems to have been an equilibrium balance here where they just suddenly come across each other. Interesting that we've had one of the few times that we've had actually a weather change from nice to sweltering heat here.
I think it was the other way around, Tom. It started sweltering heat and then it went after the touchdown to standard.
Well, I thought it was after turn 6.
If you look, it started at sweltering heat, just above fan factor, bud. Which I think would really, having had sweltering heat and maybe knocked out a couple of Norse players, I think that would have really helped James.
Yeah.
So James, you just don't score touchdowns, bud. That's the answer to it.
And equally, I'm very disappointed because, as we all know, with Skaven, you could always score 3 touchdowns.
Yes, you famously declaring that 4-0 with Skaven is easy. Jack's played really well here, Scott, to keep James at bay, but maybe sort of getting through this game, no injuries after this game for James's team. Often it's said, as a Skaven coach yourself, that for every touchdown you score, you may lose a player. So James maybe will be happy to have got out of this game with a full roster, considering how bashy Norse can be.
I think you're right, Chris. Yeah, Norse can be bashy. So on paper, we were expecting a couple of casualties. However, there are days when we all know as coaches, you can roll those dice and you're not going to break armor for love or money. So I do get that. Watching this, if you go back to watch it on YouTube, for me, the one thing that really stood out on this match was how Jack controlled the board position with his Norse as well. He was playing it well when he was taking his blitz. He was using his Ulfwerners. He wasn't overcommitting and giving James any opportunity to go around either side and flank him. So when you watch it, I thought he played it very, very well indeed. Very good control game of Blood Bowl, especially against the threat of all the gutter runners that Mr. Handley is employing this season. So good opening game rather for James, as you said, Chris. No injuries. Everybody goes forward. And then, he's got a point in the bag. And then Jack, I thought, controlled that very well out of them. And hence why he's sitting where he is in the tables. Just a shout out, though, Mr. Scott Norman. No, you are not a rookie. Move on.
We will.
By the way, sorry, just to share with chat as well. The guys did message me saying, "Did I have a fan on?" Yes, I did have a fan on, and now for the sake of everybody, I'm about to sweat my nuts off. But it's all about the Blood Bowl first.
Well, I'm glad that's nice and clear, having me and Tom tried to sort that issue out without making it obvious to everyone listening that we were doing that, Scott. So thank you for engaging and humouring us in subtlety.
We care and share.
We will move on to the next game, which is the Orphic Gladiators versus the Lavender Lynxes, and it is a 1-1 draw here for the Amazon side. Second draw in a row for Luke, keeping himself unbeaten at the top of his group, getting 2 casualties. Graham, I think, will probably be very happy with this result because, Graham's had some really horrid luck. He's got quite a tough group here, and he has managed to get a draw, Scott, against sort of last year's runner-up and one of the teams that I think we all think is one to fear. So a really good result for the Amazon side.
Agree, Chris. I thought if you if you look at how many casualties he's got as well, and how many sort of longer lasting injuries he's going to be carrying with him, to hold it to a 1-1 draw was a very, very good result indeed for Graham. I actually did ping Graham just after this as well, just to see how he was getting on with things, how he thought, what were his opinion now, and he said they both had chances to score, which you would expect with Amazons, and you would expect with a very strong Orphic Gladiators from our main man, Mr. Luke B, who's in chat tonight. He, according to Graham, rarely broke armor, but at least most of the dice were not too normal. Luke scored by dodging and rushing twice. I ended up blocking and needing the pow, so he could follow up, hit and run to score. He turned the turn he scored. The ball was on the scrummage line. He rolled a blitz, caught it, and went and scored. So kudos, Graham. The ogre let Luke down from what I can read and what Graham shared with me. So it sounds like it was back and forth as you'd expect. And from what I understand, Luke, when he tried his now almost signature move of the last turn throw goblin teammate, the goblin scattered in the wrong direction. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to run off and score and get that 2-1 win as well. So yeah, a very good win for Graham. A very good win. Moral win maybe, but a very good result for Graham there.
Tom, it's difficult to tell at this point of the season. We might look back and see this as 1 point gain, 2 points lost for Luke, but he'll probably be pretty happy. 11 SPP, still unbeaten in the league so far this season. So a lot of positives to take from this one.
Yes, and definitely on the basis that, looking down the line, unfortunately, Graham endured a lot of injury here. -1 pass, and then a missed next game, and then even a dead. So he really wasn't just running away with it on the basis of getting a 1-1. And this kind of poses a really interesting question to the whole league. Is that you look at the Orphic Gladiators with a lot of very skilled up and very nice players. Is 1,350 a too high a TV that people can come in and bring up inducements or bring in redrafted players to compete with them?
It's interesting because in this game, Graham's TV was quite high too, 1,260. So they were relatively level. I think maybe one of the benefits that Luke has got with that team value is that the group he is in doesn't have any teams, any kind of stunty teams that could utilize that as painfully. As someone who's also got a very high team value team, and I'm scared about Snotlings in our group because their team value is a lot lower and it opens the more cack phlegm door. Whereas hopefully Luke won't have to kind of see anything that bad. This match probably one of the better ones because the team value difference is less. So looking at the inducements that actually came in here, it was only Acorn who looks like he didn't really do a lot, but I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to hear from Luke and Graham in the chat, kind of what Acorn did in this game, if anything. So, yeah, interesting. Luke is in the chat. He said 8 squares back was fun game and really evenly played. Still keen to keep my unbeaten goal. I'm past the tipping point now. I think I've resigned myself to anti-stars playing. Can afford that third reroll now as well. So team value only going to go up then for the
1,450. That's Luke, as Chris said, that's the morgue door. It's open.
Luke also saying that Acorn double sculled on the second blitz and remained stunned. So unfortunate maybe for the star player there. But well done to both coaches. Well done to Graham. A really good result for him based on how bad his luck has been recently. Luke remaining unbeaten, so one to watch still. We move on and we're going to go to none other than Mr. Scott Bryant for his 0-0 draw. Smoking a Pancake versus the Elf Preservation Society. Dark Elves versus Wood Elves. And before I come to you to find out what happened in the game, Scott, Tom, we said early on that we thought that Mark was going to be a dark horse in this group. Off nothing more than what the result looks like and the way the casualties went, I feel like this has been confirmed with a good result for a rookie coach against someone who knows how to elf.
Yeah, absolutely. Ironically, I was just standing right next to the game, and before it even started, Shop Scott basically announced that there was going to be a 4-all draw because it's elves and they must score at least every other turn. But it was really intense by the sounds of things. You could tell it was intense because it went very quiet very early on. So, Scott, tell us how it went.
Well, it was a classic game of two very vanilla teams playing each other. One war dancer and a thrower for Mark with 3 rerolls, which is always an interesting path in terms of Woody's development. I had only 2 blitzers. So one of my previous blitzer and the witch elf had obviously missed next game through crap injuries in the previous match. So it was a bit of a tough one as well. And it was one when we both had a few number of chances to score. I failed one a brush with a reroll because it's elves. Why wouldn't you? And I also failed a 2-up dodge with reroll to pick up the ball and then run in. Again, it's sales. Why wouldn't you? But then also, Mark had the opportunity with a thrower to. He decided to rush to get a 3+ instead of a 4+ pass. Again, just failed that rush. No re-rolls as well. So it was one of those. It could have gone either way. I think it was a fair result, 0-0. Even though it does look pretty good. SP was, as you can see, awful. 4 SP. Couldn't break. I was breaking armor. Couldn't get a casualty. Mark, when he did, he got a number and he killed the journeyman Christopher Coe. Apologies, Christopher Coe. I just on you, Tom. Thank you very much for sharing your curse of 1s into 1. So thank you for that. Obviously, behind me, then I had the Carmen influence and Zen-like master presence of John Reeder. So it was good evening. And it was just good as a community to chat to Mark about Wood Elves and development and tactics and my experiences over the last 2 years. So good match. I think that all the other coaches in Mindenheim need to be keeping a very close eye on the Elf Preservation Society. Play them and be very mindful of what they can do. Mark knows his way around the board.
I think this is I think this is going to be one of those results that we look back on at the end of the group stage and kind of see how important it is, because there's a lot of good coaches in your group. We've said that it looks like one of the most difficult. I think a lot of coaches. No one else has played Mark yet, but I imagine that Luke, the legend that is Dave Rue, are probably looking at this game and maybe happy that you're both dropping points over the course of the season, more than anything else. But it will be interesting to kind of see how it plays out. Well done, Scott, on a hard-fought draw. Well done, Mark, on your first game, and a draw nonetheless is a good result in game 1. So a good platform to build on for both coaches here in this Elf Off. Moving from one of our lovely hosts to another, we will jump to Mr. Hovel and your 2-1 victory for the Boneyard Blitzers against Eagles of Corn. 2-2 on the casualty side here. And I think it would be harsh to say surprised, Tom, but I think
Say it, Chris.
Your kind of general demeanor after losing 2 players on turn 1 was one that I think, Scott, I don't know about you, but I was concerned. Tom, how did this one kind of go?
Well, first of all, hats off to Mike. He played an absolute blinder of a game. It was one of those games, and like I say, Mike, great guy. In our group, every game I hope is going to be as fun as this. It was fantastic. It was not end to end stuff, because it was just couple of meathead teams bashing against each other basically, and one coming off better than the other for the majority of the time. So it was a situation where I won the kick. So I received the kick. First set of dice went with a big un with no block to double both down. So I was like, well, I'm not having that. I'm just going to burn a reroll on that to double skulls. Happy days. You know that's going to happen. And then straight off the bat, he injures a lineman. So one lineman out, fine. Don't want to bother with that. He then straight away injures a big and blocker, and I'm like, kind of need them. I'll APOC that, and the APOC went from either dead or incredibly injured, and it was like, oh. So it's one of those kind of things, but persistence, just play the long game, just keep doing it. And I spent most of the time just picking my players up for most of the game, and I don't know how, but I managed to get it through. There was a few lucky breaks from my side. I was really resigning myself in the second half to just a 1-1 draw, because we'd kind of knocked out enough players now that we're getting to that point. And I was just very, very lucky, to be brutally honest. There was no tactics, no skills.
Honesty is a wonderful thing, Tom. How did the change of weather after the first touchdown, the pouring rain, did that have a significant influence on the direction of the game?
Actually, no, it didn't. Not at all, which is ironic, considering they're two of probably the worst picker-uppers in the actual kind of league. So no.
Okay, like you, Chris, I watched this, and when Tom rolled that both down, rolled the skulls, then I thought, shall I offer some sort of shoulder of emotional support? So I did what any colleague would do, and I just laughed. I thought it was very entertaining.
Well, I was just going to say,
to see our own Mr. Hovel, which could have easily been one. I'm a bit salty now, and I can't be asked for this bloody game. He didn't. He stuck to his principles. He played it simple. He didn't roll too many dice as per Chris Coe instructions, and played a good game. So well done, Mr. Hovel.
I think that is a good point, because Tom, I've seen you in games where something goes wrong early on, and I see your shoulders drop, and then the way you play changes. And I feel like you didn't do that here. You kind of kept your head in the game and got to that result. So well done, sir. And I have to say, like for your opponent, like for the Corn, it is like 2 games, 1 win, 1 loss in their first season, having not played Blood Bowl very much at all. So, this result, when we get to the groups later, the group looks bizarre. The group looks very tight at the moment. I know there's lots of differences in number of games played, but I think we could end up with 4th position and that final qualification spot being very contested on quite a low point score, because I think everyone's just going to take points away from each other. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the group develops. Well done, Tom. Well done to both coaches for a good result. Just to jump on Luke's point in the chat, I do think we won't be giving the wooden spoon to a coach. I think we will be giving it to APOCs, because like he said, haven't seen an APOC improve a role yet so far. APOCs are not doing their job this season, so we will have to have a word. Moving on to the next game, and it is in for a penny, in for a pound again, up against Mr. John Reeder and his iTown Gougers, the Orcs, and it was a 1-0 victory for John. And I do want to give a bit of a shout out to John in this one. It was really nice playing next to this game. James newer to Blood Bowl than John is, and John was being really good in the general kind of coaching and kind of advice and tips that he was giving. Very happy to have that kind of dialogue within the game, and it was just generally nice to see, making sure that his opponent didn't do anything because he didn't misunderstand a rule. It's always a nice thing to see. Scott, John is bringing this Orc team that he does know how to play. He's played them in tournament. He's not new to Orcs by any means of the imagination. A win here, we probably saw this result coming based on the difference in experience with these two coaches.
At the start of the game, Chris, yeah, we would have put our money, or most people would have put their money on Mr. Reader as well. So the result reflects that. It doesn't, I think, reflect the fact that James played a very, very good game. He really pushed John in terms of the result. So again, a big shout out to James. And you mentioned there the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. John Reader's attitude and ethos. And I think this goes for one of the things which is great about the A&DBBL and the culture we try and foster here as well. And if you are, this is your first season as a rookie coach, sorry, if this is your first season, not just as a rookie coach, but your first season in A&DBBL, ask questions. No one wants to do any, gotcha moments. No one's looking to, people want the whole community to improve. So ask questions, and we'll come on to talk about how that was so influential in another match shortly. Mr. John Reader, yeah, he just goes on from strength to strength, hasn't it? Another 1-0 in the bag, nine more SPP, starting to give the skills, the selective skills. So I suspect within another 2-3 games, John will be formidable, or relatively more formidable than he usually is as well. Just a shout out to the Prince of Ipswich, by the way, Mr. Dave Rue, before he feels left out. Thank you.
What advice would you give to James then? He's played a couple of games so far. He's got a win against JD, a loss here against John. A lot of the groups are looking, I know it's an early stage, but a lot of the groups are looking quite tight. What would you kind of be saying to James here with that start? Because, it does look like a couple of wins and a couple of draws. It could be in a tight group all you need.
Yes, I would say to James, and again to any first season coach within A&DBBL, use this as a real learning experience. Ask the questions, find out how your play style works with your teams. Don't be afraid to try things. Recognize as well, this is Blood Bowl, so you'll win half, you'll lose half. That's how the game works. Enjoy it, enjoy the culture, enjoy the environment, and I think really go for it as well. And that's the sort of message I know John was sharing with James as well. And I was certainly encouraging Mark in terms of asking the questions, in terms of we shared tips on like one-turn touchdowns with elves, not that he needs many. So it was just, it's a real opportunity for James. He's played 2, he's won 1, lost 1. He's put himself in a good position as well, because again, Imperial and Nobility, they're a very difficult side to break down. So they can be very, very challenging. So he's given himself a very good start after 2 matches against a couple of very strong coaches. So I think James, very well done. And yeah, lots to build on. So good effort. And again, very good look inside, which is always nice on the Blood Bowl tabletop.
Yeah, apologies for dropping off there. It was the fact that I saw the back end of this match, and yeah, I will echo what Scott said. We know what John's like. He is a honest and decent coach, and it was a very really nice kind of situation where they went through the match, they played the match. It was a very very difficult match, potentially for both players. But at the end, each person was asking for advice and giving advice and stuff. So that just really shows what kind of league we've got and the people we've got in the league.
A good group. for sure, and a good result for John here, but lots of takeaways, I think, for James. So we'll see how both of their seasons continue. We will move on to our next game, and it is a 2-1 victory for the Claws of Corn against the Bitey Ducks. 2-1 for the Dark Elves. 2-1 to the Ducks on casualties here. A tough game, a very, very even first half, where the Ducks got a touchdown forced to score earlier than they wanted to and needed to get a couple of dodges and a rush to do it because the Dark Elves were positioning very, very well. And then a lot of pressure put on the Dark Elves to do some elf shenanigans in order to get the touchdown. And they managed to do it, dodging out, passing where they needed to, getting the rolls that they needed. And 3 tackle zones on a Dark Elf isn't enough to stop them dodging out to make it level. And then in the second half, I think Ducks started to lose players quite a lot, started to drop like flies. They were doing really well at removing. Maple was a good roadblock in the middle of the field. And if I'm being completely honest, I think I just played pretty terribly in that second half. Positioned really badly. Forgot my usual what I've started to tell myself of being patient, and sort of gave the elves the ability to move the ball very, very far away from any of my players and then hold it there. So a few scary moments near the end where I tried to do various rushes and dodges to 1 dice or 2 dice uphill a ball carrier. But Dark Elves controlled this one in the second half and absolutely deserved the win. Scott, you're playing Dark Elves yourself. I think being the more resilient of the elves with that armor 9 possibly helps them against a team like Lizards with the extra strength that they have.
It does so, and before you stat busted one of the blitzers, Mr. Coe, there were 5 movement, 7 players, which is a real big help as well. Is a slightly different build in terms of the including the runner as well, but he's got the extra leader reroll as well, so well done there, looking good. Question I was going to ask, Chris, you were playing against Maple. Now, Maple, you said that she was a bit of a roadblock. Was Maple worthy of the sort of future megastar status that has been given to her in a number of online forums and chats? Did you see her as that big a threat, or maybe wasn't she? Maybe was she doing anything especially eccentric, especially a megastar-esque, or was it just a tree on a line?
I think it's the threat that she comes with, to be honest, because armor 11 means like normal trees, unless you've got claws or you get fortunate with the mighty blows, and you're unlikely to do a lot there. Strength 5 rather than strength 6 does help because it means that you can stick a Croxagore next to them and keep them still unless they're throwing 1 dices, although he only needs 1 assist. I think what was the bigger thought was that if I wasn't moving my players up the field very quickly, then Maple only needs movement 3 to get within 1 square of the ball carrier, because Maple can stand on the corner of a cage and be 1 square from the ball carrier. If then players are positioned right in front of it, you're kind of, it's a different position, because the next turn, if you don't move that ball carrier, even if they remain within a cage, Maple can block 1 square away. So that kind of gives you an extra threat. So, and I think in that first half, that's how it felt, that Maple was always being moved to kind of just be, Maple didn't need to break cages. Andy didn't need to break a cage. Andy just needed to have Maple next to the cage and hope the ball carrier doesn't move. And that forces me to move and kind of forced me into a corner that I had to run out of. So I think from that perspective, and the fact they can do that once per half, that is a pretty decent threat. And based on the cost as well, compared to Deeproot, I think it was a very, very good choice. It may not have looked like a good choice, because if I could get out the way and I could just kind of isolate Maple so that she's not going to dodge through anything, then you can kind of isolate the threat. But you've got to commit players to do that. So I think an under the radar megastar for sure. Tom,
how much is Maple? I'm just looking.
230, I believe, or 210.
210. Excellent. I'm happy with that. Good. I'm
Tom checking for a future requirement.
You playing Andy next by any chance?
No, I haven't got. Actually, Andy, if you're listening, come on, let's arrange our game. I know you can only really play on a Friday. I can play on a Friday. So I'm not going to increase my value at any point. But it's interesting because, we've seen the Blighty Ducks do like absolute carnage. So did the the Coxagor and the Sauruses not come into effect here, or what happened?
I tried, and I was knocking them down a decent amount, but just not getting the armor breaks. I think if they were regular elves and they were armor 8, I would have made broken armor a few more times, but not massively, So yeah, just kind of didn't work out. And I think the biggest shame, I would have I would have taken the loss if I had got maybe a few more skills. I did get enough SPP on some skinks to give them some skills, which was really good. I really wanted the SPP on the Saurus because I only needed maybe on a couple, I needed 1 casualty and I would have got the block that I want. And the one that I got block on is missing the next game, which is really bad luck. So, it is what it is. And Andrew's a really good coach, really, really good coach. And he had a game plan and it worked on this day. So I can't fault him at all. A great result for the Dark Elves. Ducks plow on to next week. I've got 2 games this week coming up. That's going to be fun. Getting my games out of the way nice and quick. But we are going to move on to the Rats again, Disco Danger Rats versus another Dark Elf team because the league is drowning in them. The Harlequins, and a 4-2 victory for the Rats here. 3-0 on the casualties for the Dark Elves, though. And those 3-0s were pretty devastating. 2 dead here. And I think James Scott will be very, very pleased. He's got a dead captain, which is a shame. His captain is no more. The Danger Hedgehog died on turn 12. He'll probably be pleased that the 2 dead players were actually only linemen, and the miss next game is what the gutter runner got. So, we know that Skaven often sacrifice a player for a touchdown. James has done that today and got maybe fortunate as to which ones got really badly hurt.
I think he did very, very well to get off so lightly scathed, Chris. To have those casualties, as you said, we know Skaven take casualties. That's a gimme. To have them on lineman, yeah, that's fine. And he's got enough in his bank as well. 125k in the treasury, 3 re-rolls as well, 5 dedicated fans. He's going to recoup that money in a couple of games as well. He can take some journeyman if he wants to. If he wants to, he can already buy 2 more players. That'll get him up to 10, and I'm sure he might have some incentive depending on who he's playing. Will he go Roger? Will he not go Roger? Interesting. I think within the next 2 matches, then we'll have the answer to that as well. I don't know if anyone in chat knows. It'll be very interesting how Simon got on with just that 1 reroll. Still managed to get 2 touchdowns. Still managed to get 16 SP, which is very good, from a Dark Elf coach perspective in terms of allowing you to develop that team as well. 85k in the treasury. He's got 11 players for next time as well. He's just beyond that one. He needs 1 more SP to start really giving his players those skills. So I think another 1 or 2 matches for Simon, and he's going to make this Dark Elf team start to be very potent indeed.
Yeah, Tom, looking at Simon's team, if he's playing the long game here, then He's not randomized any skills. He's got the runner with a couple of SPP, Blitzer with some SPP, both Witch Elves with a good amount of SPP. So he's building it up there. If he's playing a longer game and maybe looking at a couple of seasons, while this isn't a result maybe that he wanted, the SPP that he's got is going to be very, very, very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really interesting because you kind of, well, maybe my naivety is the fact that you think the runners are going to get the touchdowns, but he's clearly gunning for the Witch Elves here. So they are really bringing in the bacon, so to speak, here, because like you say, we've got one Witch Elf on 5 SPP and another one on 3 SPP. So they're slowly getting in there. Although, and equally, this is only the first game. So, you've got a lineman on 2, another one on 2, one Witch Elf on 3, one on 5, a Blitzer on 4, and a runner on 2. That's a lot of SPP in one game.
Yeah.
And I think if Simon keeps hold of that treasury again after next match, he'll get another if he wants to invest in that second reroll or to bring in another blitzer. Personally, I think you need at least the another reroll as well. But all of a sudden, in a couple of games then, and plus as well, of course, playing someone like James with lots of fans as well does give you that additional boost to your treasury. So I think Simon's done well in terms of where this team currently is after that game one. And as Chris, you mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of gap in any of the leagues at the moment. So it's only going to take you 1 or 2 results and suddenly you're in the top versus the bottom half.
And as you said, James is sitting there with only 9 players, one of which is going to miss next match. So he's going to have to spend that 125k.
Well, he doesn't have to, because he can just sit back and just take Journeyman for his rats. And if Journeyman, they die. However, obviously introducing suddenly at least 2 or 3 players with Loner 4+, that's always risky.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how James moves forward. Carl is in the chat, was on the pitch next to them, says that he thinks James is planning to go no Roger, which I think is what I heard James saying, that he's actually thinking of not going for the Roger, having the rerolls and the subs instead. He also said that Simon was rolling. The amount of ones Simon was rolling was brutal, and it sounded like they had the slipperiest ball on the pitch as well, just unable to pick it up. One thing I will say, and I don't want to jinx anyone, but the last time that Simon started a league campaign against Rats, he lost 5-2 in that opening game. So still scored 2 touchdowns and then made it all the way to the semi-finals. So let's not count Simon out on this result at all. That large amount of SPP, very, very, very key. Well done to James. A very good result for him, putting him in a good position in the tables, which we will look at shortly. But we will come on to our penultimate game first, which is the Los Amazon Dodgers versus the Snotball Furies, and a 2-1 victory for the Amazon side here. 1-1 on casualties, and a very good result for the Amazons. Bringing home 3 points. Snotlings, Ogres, having a poorer game here. I was watching this one near the end. I was kind of hovering. I know there could have been equalizing attempts and all sorts of things happening near the end of the game. Tom, coming to you first. Amazons are a tier 1 team for a reason. All of that dodge that they've got will make them difficult to put down from those ogres. And looking at the way the casualties went, not many on either side. So maybe that proved helpful.
No, absolutely. And, even though they had like Rumbelow Sheepskin, a Bloodweiser Keg, and one team mascot. So this seems to be a difficult night for the ogres. It's one of those ones where you just don't know where it's going to go, and it's all down to the dice, really. Clearly, things just got a bit crazy, and I don't really know. So what we got? Turn 8. So turn 8 touchdown for the ogres. So I'm assuming they won the kickoff.
So Carl's in the chat and he said that he was lucky to lob a Snotling to score at the end of the first half. So it sounds like that's a throw teammate situation.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So that's very impressive. So then we come back into the second half and turn 11 touchdown for the Jaguar Warrior blocker. And then literally in turn 14, you get another a touchdown. And unfortunately for the Ogres, not many casualties either. You know, you think you got what, 4 Ogres on the pitch and not that many casualties? It's a
Luke is saying his mascot completely whiffed as well, and yeah, Harrison positioned those Amazons especially to pressure, and as he says in his little text, a little commentary, which is available in latest news. Again, big shout out to Luke and thanks for doing that. So if you do want to pop up to latest news, guys, and have a read of those, please do. So it sounds like Harrison really started taking to the ladies again, and more ladies than usual. Anyway, on that note, pressured the ball,
Scott's lost
got
his
the
train
ball,
of thought
pushed the winner.
there.
Yeah, I did. Harrison
Let's call a
surrounded.
spade a spade. Scott started talking about the ladies, and he just got lost in his own head.
It was just like Harrison, young lad surrounded by all these ladies. Where did I go wrong in my life? Anyway, moving on swiftly.
He went from ogres to ladies. That's what he's done, isn't he?
It was one of those moments. This is what happens when it gets too hot in here. But no, good win for Harrison, especially on his debut using the Amazons. And again, Carl, I'm sure we haven't had the last of the ogres throwing teammate and all those other shenanigans. And the charity dart. Good shout, Carl. Chris, do you want to mention the charity?
Yeah, Carl beat me to it. A good result here for Harrison, and a shout out to the fact that Harrison is doing a darts marathon in aid of Macmillan Cancer Support, looking to raise some money. It's in the chat, and we'll put it in the description on YouTube as well. We'll put the link there. Harrison is a coach who anyone who's been watching our roundup for the last few seasons will know that I try not to talk about because I usually jinx him. I think his first season, I was constantly saying that he's going to turn it around, and I think he possibly lost 6 out of 6 with his elves. So I'm trying not to do that. I try not to do that anymore, but we'll absolutely big. It's an incredible charity to raise money for. We've raised money for them in the past. So check out the link in, I'll put the link in the video description, and please have a look and sponsor him because it's a great cause and a great challenge, and all the best, Harrison. Or good luck for that as well. A good result here. Always love seeing an ogre cage, and a stunty season for Carl here, which still could turn around. He's still got points on the board. We'll see how both of these coaches get on. And speaking of stunties, we'll come to our last game, which is available over on the YouTube channel. Please do go and have a look at this one because there's a few reasons why this is a great game to watch. Firstly, the enthusiasm from both Leanne and Scott is absolutely, it's so engaging. It's incredible to watch. Two fantastic coaches here. Leanne bringing goblins to this season, and Leanne stepping in at the last minute, not even having played one game with goblins so far. Scott being a goblin expert really did put the good of goblins before anything in this game in helping Leanne how to use all of those weapons and all of those particular points and different things that can be that can be done with the goblin team. It ended in a 1-0 to Scott, and I know he won't mind me saying this. That anyone who was watching this game towards the end, I think we were all cheering on Leanne in that last turn. It was 1-0 going into the last turn. And there were a couple of ways that a tricky throw teammate could have been done. Leanne was one square away from a dodge out and running, so they needed to do a throw teammate. And I was shouting at my screen as how I would have done it. I think other people were as well. She took the difficult route to get to the throw teammate, but she made it work. And then the throw teammate was ultimately not what she needed. But it was just, I mean, Scott, everyone was cheering her on at the end of this one. It ended 1-0 to Scott Norman here. But it was just a fantastic game to watch.
For me, First of all, big thank you to Leanne in chat. A big thank you to Mr. Scott Norman for the ethos, the way you both engaged with the match. Scott Norman, a pillar of this community, a wonderful person. Thank you, Scott, for everything. And Leanne, your infectious laughter was incredible. And it was a perfect combination of insane love of Blood Bowl. It was great. If you haven't seen this match, go over. If you're feeling a bit down and you've had one of those days, go over to YouTube or on Twitch, check out this match. It will put a smile on your face. It will remind you why we pick up dice and roll them and want to spend time with other coaches as well in the first place. So for me, it was just game of the season. I thought Leanne deserved something out of it. I thought Mr. Norman was the perfect gentleman in terms of supportive help, encouragement, and he just encapsulates all the insanity of goblins, greenskins, bombs, chainsaws, and all that wonderful. And it's almost lovely to see Leanne as his protege in terms of embracing that insanity as well. So big shout out to both of you.
Tom, this was a good result for Scott. Both of these coaches, bringing stunties to this season and looking some of the strong coaches in their group. You do feel that points are going to be few and far between, possibly for both of them. They're going to need to make those weapons work really well to get some results. So Scott will probably be pleased to come out of here with some points because I think both coaches could struggle in this group.
Yes, but it's not all about the wins. It's all about the fun. And both of these players really bring the fun to it. They have a good time. That's what Blood Bowl is really all about. Just having a good laugh, And like Scott already said, this was a really exciting kind of game here. So, well done to Scott. But not commiserations to the end. You're learning. You've come in with a team you've never played before, and you've had an absolute ball with them. So I wish you all the best.
We will be watching closely these goblins and these ogres because I think they're going to be absolutely ones to watch going forward in this group and in this season. Let's have a look at how the groups look at the moment then. In the dark side group, James with his 2 results this week put him top of the table. Various number of games being played, relatively balanced across the group and things looking relatively close. So I think this group could be quite tight going forward. But James currently sitting at the top, just ahead of the Goblins of Elliot. Harrison moving up to 3rd place, and Jack in 4th in the top group there. In Longship, John is top with 2 wins from 2 maximum points. Robert sitting in 2nd after that very impressive win. And looking down, lots of teams on 3 points with various different games played. Lots of groups looking like this at the minute. Probably too early to tell who's going to be where based on the results. So a good tight group here, but John sitting at the top at the moment. Middenheim, most games have been played in this group out of all of them, and Luke is sitting at the top with 8 points unbeaten. Dave a close second on 6. Looking towards the bottom of the group there, Jane still with the 2 losses, but lots of games left to play currently at the bottom. Again, we think this group, all the groups are going to be really tight. I don't know why I keep saying it. It's going to be a very close season. And looking at Swabdo, the Ducks currently sit at the top, but with the most games played there. Eagles of Corn and Claws of Corn moving themselves up the table. And a few teams, Blob, and Greystone Gladiators still yet to play and are both absolutely going to have an impact here. That is all of our games that we have got this season. A few quick things to say before we finish here. First of all, thanks everyone for getting your games in. We've got a few weeks in now. We would hope by now most people would have played at least one game. So if you haven't done so yet, speak to your coaches. If you're struggling to organize those games, please get in touch with myself, Luke, or Scott, and we will help with arranging any games that we need to. Secondly, a reminder of that link that will be in the description for Harrison's fundraiser for Macmillan. Have a look there and donate some money there. Also, we're raising money this season for St. Elizabeth's Hospice, so I'll put the link to that one as well. Give what you can. We appreciate it's that everything in life is expensive at the minute. If there's anything you can give to either of those charities, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this week's Roundup. More games to be played this week, and we will be back next week with more of the same. We will see you then.